G'day, ZiggyD here, and over the past few days I've been having a lot of fun leveling this Searing bonfire trap burn damage Templar that you can see in the background footage. Through doing this, I've had to really deeply explore the different mechanics behind burn and fire damage and how they interact with each other to try and make this build as effective as possible. It's a pretty complex sort of system in Path of Exile when it comes to burn damage, and some things might not be immediately obvious that might seem immediately obvious, and then deciding what actually affects burn damage can be a little bit of a struggle. So, since I've done all of this research, I thought I'd bring it all together and share what I've found about burn damage and maximizing your burn damage in this little guide for you guys, so that if you want to make a fire Templar or you want to make some other sort of fire caster or burn damage stacking build, then you should be able to pull from this information. So to start off with, there are two sources of burning damage. The first is Ignite, which is the one you'll be immediately familiar with. Ignite can be caused by critically hitting with fire damage, and then by also having a chance to ignite on hit effect when you hit with fire damage. So that can come from like the chance to ignite support gem, or it can come from the flammability curse. The other source, burn damage over time effects, can come from righteous fire, the Searing bond totems, and the fire trap ground effect, and the possibility there'll be other sources of burn damage over time effects in the future. So the first thing to know about burning damage is that it's fire elemental. However, it isn't fire damage, so that means certain things won't affect it and other things will. Firstly, because it's a fire elemental damage type, it is affected by resist. So that means flammability curse, elemental weakness curse, and just whatever you can do like elemental equilibrium to lower the resist of enemies, lower the fire resist of enemies specifically, will increase the burn damage that they take. However, burn damage is also a damage over time effect, so that means another curse, vulnerability, with its increased damage over time effectiveness mod, will also affect the damage from burn. So how else can you increase the damage of burn damage over time effects and Ignite? Well, the main way is through picking up burning damage mods and passives. So this includes, for example, the Pyromaniac cluster in the passive tree, which is near the Templar and Witch zones, and also burn damage mods like on the Searing Touch staff, and possibly more uniques in the future. Now, just to make this perfectly clear, fire damage mods and spell damage mods and things like that don't affect burn damage directly. The exception to this is that Ignite damage, which is caused by critically hitting with fire damage, has its burn damage over time calculated based on the initial amount of fire damage that you hit with. So for example, if you critically hit with a fireball and you have a lot of crit stack multiplier on there as well, you're going to do a lot of fire damage with that critical hit, and the burn is going to be really effective and have a lot of damage into it. So that's the only exception to that. Then from then on, the only thing that'll affect that burn damage are those burn damage mods and passives. So what about burn duration nodes and mods? Well, these only affect the duration of Ignite, not of burn dots. So burn damage over time effects like Righteous Fire and Searing bonds and things like that only take effect when the mob is in it, and sometimes they have a small calculation just as they're leaving it, they still take a little bit of damage, but those can't be affected by burn duration. So if you're focusing on stacking burn crits from like actual Ignite damage, then your burn duration can help because it'll extend the amount of time that they take damage for, which can be quite powerful. So let's bring all this together, how all of these things function together. You can stack your single highest damage Ignite from a critical hit or from a chance to Ignite. Then you can also stack on top of that the area of effect burn dot from Righteous Fire, and then one fire trap ground effect, so multiple fire trap ground effects won't stack, and then any number of Searing bond beams. Now in the future there might be additional burn damage over time effects, and something that has been changed fairly recently, I believe one of the mods said, was that all of these different burn damage over time effects are considered separate things and can stack. The only exception to that is obviously that the fire trap ground effect doesn't stack with itself, whereas Searing bonds does, so that's like a specific skill interaction. But overall it means you can have your highest damage Ignite, and then one of each type of burn damage over time effect on top of each other onto that one mob that you're really trying to burn down. And then you can multiply the damage out of that. So once you've done all of that, you can multiply the actual burn damage that they take through burn damage passives, and maybe you can extend that initial Ignite out by having a little bit of burn duration on there. So there's probably still a few other little things that I didn't cover in this particular video, but if you have any other questions about ignite, burn, or fire damage in Path of Exile, then let me know in the comments below. I've done a fair bit of research on this, so I should be able to answer pretty much any question you throw at me. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.